Hey there, goblins. Welcome to another episode of Goblin Salvage Rites.
Where we are goblins and we are rights.
My name's Robert,
I'm Eric.
and today we're going to be talking about a special topic to our hearts. The session .5.
0.5.
What
Do
is
we
that?
round up or down with the 0.5?
We don't round. We're goblins. We're
No.
square.
Okay.
What is the session .5,
We square
Eric?
sideways. We don't round either way.
What is the session .5? Tell us about
Well,
this.
if a session 0 is sort of the what do we want this campaign to look like and what do we want it to not look like, a session 5 is sort of like a touchstone meeting. You know, you show up and you go, guys, are we still on course? Are we where we say we wanted to be? And if not, do we care? Do we need to course correct? Did we trip over unexpected wonderful things that we want to, quadruple down on for the second half of the campaign? It's a chance to kind of take stock of what's behind you and then look the other way in front of you and go, okay, this is what we want the rest of this experience to look like.
Exactly. It's a check-in after book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4, book 5. How many ever books you have.
It's too easy to autopilot in this particular hobby and then just fucking have the same experience over and over and over again, which is fine, because we all get to sit around, roll dice, and drink beer.
Hang out with your friends.
But there's something about like a cooperative designing of a future experience based on all the experiences we've shared together over the past, in our case, like 3 years in one campaign. So, session .5, TM.
TM, that's ours. Can't steal it unless we stole it. In that case, Goblin Rights. Those are some Goblin Salvage
We've salvaged
Rights.
it.
We salvaged it. I'm sorry.
Found it in the trash.
Before we go any
session
further,
0.5, that's kind of how that works in my imagination. What about you?
Yep, that's what we're talking about. But before we jump into that, I want to talk about Patreon.
Patreon.
Yay! We just finished our saga, our first saga of all of our iconic goblins. Are all up on the
That
Patreon.
was a hell of an experience.
Every one of the biomes. We're moving on to our first ever adventure.
Yep.
And we're doing it in a way that I think I've never seen before.
Mhm.
So if you want to get a little taste of that goblin magic and join the inner circle of the goblin tribe, jump into Patreon, links in doobly-doo. It's freaking rad. We love it.
Yep.
Special perks on the Discord. Cool shit we're making every month. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
What did we play, Eric?
We played Kingmaker. Finally.
Yes. After a month, we
Yeah.
played Kingmaker.
Yeah. A lot of hurdles in the past month and a half, 2 months, however fucking long it was. But we're back at the table with our full lineup, and it's pretty cool. We're sort of coming to the end of our storyline.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So Robert here is trying to not learn how to GM, but just sort of like sharpen all your GMing skills.
I want to get better.
You want to get better?
I want to get better.
Yeah, learn how to run the game you want to see in the world.
Exactly.
And that's what you're doing. So do we want to go to level 20 or do we want to jump out at a cool story moment?
Yeah.
Get a palate cleanser, go somewhere else, maybe pray for death, and circle back if we all want.
Yeah, so
or
we
never touch it again.
we fought Harkolga finally.
Harkolga is a big, nasty piece of work troll.
They basically took on 2 major fights, 2 severe fights back to back.
Yeah.
And they created a plan. Their characters argued over the plan, which was glorious.
Yeah, it was amazing because as a player, I was like, okay, guys, I am down for this shit. We're going full Guy Ritchie movie.
Yes.
That's what we're going to do. Okay.
100.
Eric is happy with this. Adis, my character, has problems with this and he's going to be vocal about it. But I'm good for whatever you guys want to do. So my character was bitching the whole time going, this is going to get us killed. This is suicide.
It is.
But I was having a great time.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole time I was just sitting there twiddling my
Right.
GM fingers,
Yeah.
being like, "Wah-ha-ha-ha-ha, you have no idea."
We made some dumb decisions.
No, you really, honestly, you really didn't. Like, it worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
The silliest decision, like the only thing that I would have optimized better is like Amy's archer was covering the back flank because you guys were worried about getting encircled. The only thing I would have done differently is just have her go in the front right next to the other gunslinger and just focus down people faster. That's the only thing I would have changed.
Yeah.
Everything else will not. You guys pulled off without a hitch.
Considering we got extra murderized and lost a party member in a straight up encounter before coming to this particular fortress, being here like in the heart of the enemy with the BBEG, I was terrified.
That set the tone.
Yeah.
And I've been
because that was fucked.
very slowly but surely trying to claw our way back from that tone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it was pretty devastating, that first encounter of this entire chapter. And I was only expecting it to get more severe from there.
Yeah.
And that's why Adis was like, baby steps, you guys. We need to divide and conquer. We can't just run in and, attack everything at once.
Exactly.
So that was it was a hell of a session. It was a lot of fun. And one of the things I really appreciated that you did was the callback. I'm a super fan of callbacks, to previous sessions. It makes me feel like decisions matter. And one of the players hit level 6 by the end of it. I'm guessing that's when his werewolf archetype kicked in.
Yep.
And he was attacked by a werewolf some bunch of levels in the past, and it all just kind of nicely looped together.
Thank you for that, Jacques.
And that was well done, my man. So at the very last scene of this session, and I kind of hope we end this entire campaign there because it was just so cinematic. We beat Harkolga. The trolls are dead.
You're licking your wounds.
We're licking our wounds. It was just devastating. It was
Jacques'
bad.
character went down.
And Jacques' character went down, and Adis, my character, is
his bodyguard.
Archibald's bodyguard, and he feels responsible for this guy's death because my character feels responsible for the gnome's death. I can't protect the people I'm here to protect. That's like his whole story arc. So finally get him back from death and, shove some healing water down his throat. And when he comes up, he fucking wolfs out. Yep. And I'm like, oh my God. Out of the frying pan and into the fire.
Exactly.
So the very last moment of the entire thing was me just like holding him down on the ground, bracing as, his werewolf is trying to like shred his own flesh off. And I would be okay if we never went back to Kingmaker, because if that's my lasting impression of the experience, that's amazing.
And
so I was happy.
I threw in a hard story hook at the end. There was like, at the end of the fight, Harkolga had like a thorn like growing out of his neck that magically or supernaturally called out to Eric, and Eric wanted to stow away.
Yep.
So yeah, that was
nice. That was a callback to my character's wife, who left a Dear John letter for me a few years ago and fucked off into the woods. Yeah,
so that was like my whole goal with that was basically like, this is gonna turn into a big story point. That's like kind of like a thing, like that's a big powerful MacGuffin you just found. The whole reason it was there. This isn't written into the story as much. It kind of is. The relationship is written into the story, but this specific item is not at all. But I kind of wanted to like set up you guys for a little more of an epic adventure compared to what normal Kingmaker has in store.
Right.
And because of that, I put this in that moment at the end of the Harkolga, because I kind of want to, if we do come back to Kingmaker, I want to leave us open to doing mythic rules and stuff like that.
Right. And at 6th level, certain things come online.
Perfect. Yeah. So it's really tied to that whole mythic epicness of the whole setting.
And having my character have that wonderful story moment is a great place to fucking stop the campaign.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
It's like, yes, I came online. Credits.
Yep. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to take a little breather. Jacques is going to run 3 to 4 sessions of Delta Green.
So we get to go
very fucking
batshit crazy for a few weeks.
I haven't played an indie TTRPG in so long.
Yeah. What was the last one you played?
Blades in the Dark.
Blades in the Dark. Yeah.
With
same
you
here.
guys, remember with Aspen. So
I almost don't. It was a very long time ago.
Exactly. So I'm super hyped for that. Yeah, I'm really stoked. And then we might play another TTRPG, indie TTRPG. I don't know if it's called it. It's indie, but it's made by Games Workshop, which is their Age of Sigmar TTRPG that Austin wants to run. It sounds fucking rad, especially considering how epic AOS is as a setting. I'm really excited to get into it and figure out the rules, because it sounds like the rules are super light.
Yeah.
And really story driven. And I want to kind of see how that feels. I want to see what happens when I'm not like, when Robert isn't constrained by the rules. Maybe that'll just, maybe I'm because I have this theory that maybe I'm such a rules forward person because the system's rules forward. So what happens when Robert's not in a rules forward system?
I figured Robert would go crazy and unsure and look for rules where there are none, because you're spreadsheet brain.
Yeah.
You look for like the borders of everything.
Right. But when the game is round and lacking in edges, I don't want to say lacking in depth, but lacking in edges, the gritty little corners that I can't dig into. All that's left is to role play your way out of situations. So maybe that's the
I
solution.
would like to see that.
Yeah, me too.
We got to get you into a Powered by the Apocalypse game.
Well, I mean, okay. I know this is super tangenting, but I am a huge fan of this web series called Kill 6 Billion Demons.
You are?
I know. And which is wrapping up finally, which is awesome. Like the end of the entire comic book is coming to a head right now, and it's fucking epic. Anyway, they have a Powered by the Apocalypse TTRPG based in that world. And it's something I've wanted to run or be a part of or play in for the longest time.
There's your in.
But there are very few nerds of that specific game in my orbit. So I wouldn't want to play that game I wouldn't want to play that game with anyone who hasn't read the entire.
This is a call to action to the entire tribe.
There you go. Goblins, jump in the Discord. Let me know. I will organize my life around it. I promise. Even if it's just like a 3-shot, I would love to try Powered by the Apocalypse, especially in the Kill 6 Billion Demons setting. Yeah.
So done. Speak or forever hold your peace.
Yes, I will literally reread the whole thing again for the 4th time just to do that.
I might read it for the first time. All right. Why don't we talk about session 0.5?
Yeah. So Eric,
how are we doing this?
Eric came up with like 10 major questions that he felt was really important. And I looked at them over and I was like, these are great. I don't actually have anything to add. Pretty much took all the words out of my mouth. So,
but 10 is a lot to talk about, as we have learned in previous episodes.
Exactly. So what we're going to do, we're trying something new. We're going to pick 5. We're going to talk about 5. And then in the Discord, there's going to be a new section in our Discord where you can talk about specific episodes. And we're going to post a document there that'll allow you to download the whole list and use it in your game.
That would be 5 plus 5.
Yeah, that's a Goblin.
How much
10.
is that?
It's a Goblin 5.
It's a Goblin 5.
Yes, it's a Goblin 5. Yeah.
All right.
It's a Goblin 5.
Right.
It's a 5. High 10. It's a 5, and then with a super of G. So, like to the power of G. It's 5 to the power of G.
I like that. I like that a lot. TM. So yeah, that's what we're doing. You're going to get double the content if you follow our shitty little game.
You may also, we have like a website too. Go check us out, goblinsalvagerite.com. But it's super basic Squarespace website.
I might
also offer like it as a download if you just like sign up for our email list or whatever. We've never sent an email, so who knows? But I've heard that's what business people do, is send emails.
Yeah, like responsible adults who do things like this.
Business Goblin.
So yeah, what do we have on that website just to like give people an extra reason to go there?
We have all of our more recent episodes on the website and like a little tidbit about us. That's it.
That's not quite it. There's the first designer diary on that website.
Oh, wow, you threw me a softball and I totally fucking flubbed that.
That was the slowest strike ever.
Yeah. Yeah, so Eric wrote this awesome designer diary that we've posted on the website, so you can go there and check it out.
It speaks to directly to what we've been doing on Patreon. So if you are not one of our patrons, totally fine. And if you want to see what our patrons are seeing, come to the website, read this fucking thing.
Yeah.
It won't take more than 10 minutes.
Awesome. So let's jump into the topic.
Let's do it.
What we're gonna do is read these off one by one, back and forth. And then we're going to jump into 5 of them that we think are really important.
Okay.
Sounds
I'm
good.
with you.
All right, Eric, I'm going to start it off here. Number 1, question to ask in your session 0.5. How well is the current tone and pacing of the campaign aligning with our original vision? Has the mood shifted unexpectedly? Are we craving more levity, more danger, drama, or depth? Is there something you're missing? Something you want more of?
And we're reading all 10 or just the 5?
We're going to read all 10.
All 10, okay. Number 2, are all players feeling equally engaged and spotlighted in the narrative? Does everyone feel their character matters to the unfolding story? Are there opportunities to adjust focus?
How are we feeling about the campaign's balance between combat, exploration, and roleplay?
Are our characters developing in ways we find satisfying, mechanically and narratively? Do our choices feel meaningful? Is there room for more growth, challenge, or transformation?
What unexpected elements have emerged that we'd like to lean into or away from?
Got more?
Oh, just keep going.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Are there any table dynamics that need addressing? Communication, boundaries, or play style? Do we feel heard, respected, and safe halfway through the campaign? Are our session rituals and etiquette still serving us well?
Is the campaign structure supporting the story we all want to tell? Question mark.
Have any rules, mechanics, or subsystems become a friction point? Is there mechanical fatigue, confusion, or opportunities for simplification or house ruling?
Do we need to realign on goals, both in character and at the table?
What do we want more of in the next phase of the campaign? Deeper mysteries, political complexity, magical weirdness, character introspection, greater stakes?
Stake
Stakes.
counter. One day I will actually edit stake counters into this episode. All right.
So those are the 10.
Yeah, those are our 10.
We're going to cover 5 and the rest go on the Discord.
Exactly. We're going to talk about those a little more depth on the Discord. You want to get this started, Eric?
Let's do it. So I got to pick 2 of these 10.
Yep.
Robert got to pick another 2, and then together we picked number 5. So my first one here, tiny bit of a preamble because I'm that kind of asshole. So session point 5, we're halfway through a campaign. In the case of Edgewatch, Agents of Edgewatch, that's 3 years and 3 books into a 6-book campaign. That's a lot of invested time. So this is the kind of meeting that's designed to make the next 1.5 to 3 years not just be the same, but elevate it because we need to raise the stakes. If our goal is to redefine, where is it?
He lost it, ladies and gentlemen. Goblins and goblinettes.
I am so bad at this. Okay. If our goal is to redefine and elevate the campaign's second act, deepening its meaning, heightening its drama, and ensuring it remains a story that we are all still excited to tell together, and this shit we're going to remember for the rest of our lives, like that one game everybody has in their head that they will always remember, how do we do that? So in a session point 5, if that's our goal,
dramatic, that pause.
Okay. What aspects of the campaign's atmosphere, structure, or themes would you like to see emphasized or expanded in the coming chapters? For example, do we want deeper mysteries? Do we want political complexity? Do we want magical weirdness? Do we want more character introspection, heightened stakes, or others you feel drawn towards? The idea is we already have all those things. Do we want to dial it up to 11?
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to dial it back to 8? Do we want to, where do we want that dial to go? So in Agents of Edgewatch, all of those things are represented. What do we want to crank up? What do we want to leave exactly where it is?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe what do we want to turn down a bit? So halfway through the campaign is a great way to do that. That was action item number 1. Action item number 2. For each of these, suggest a practical or narrative way it can manifest more strongly within the game, such as types of conflicts, character dilemmas, world-building opportunities, or shifts in tone. So we're trying to elevate our game.
I think the important thing here is what more do you want or less do you want? What dial do you want to turn? It's really important when giving the answer to your DM. You really need to give examples of things you've done in the past that you want more of.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that big aha moment when Robert found out that Dregrid was a prince, that moment of Robert learning more about his own character, that's what I would turn up.
Sure. And the important thing for me, and the reason why this question is important to me, and I picked it as opposed to any of the other 9, is this is addressing things that have occurred, not things we wish would have occurred in the game, that we want to occur for the first time later on in the game. This is stuff that's already happened that the GM's like, this was just a throwaway line. And a player is like, fuck you, it's not a throwaway line. I want more of that.
Exactly.
Or, maybe a GM is like, this is a core centerpiece. And everybody else is like, it's a chance to take
not for long, motherfucker.
and then dial it up or down.
Exactly. And it's really important to use those examples because It's easy. This is kind of like a very nebulous idea.
Mhm.
It's very hard to put concrete to take that nebulous idea and to create a concrete example out of thin air. So it's most important to rely on those past experiences, those past moments.
Right.
We all kind of have them seared into our mind. And I would say, as a litmus test for players, if it's seared into your mind,
Mhm.
it's probably one of those things. Like
Sure.
if it's seared and has good feelings associated with it, you probably want to bring this up on this question.
Absolutely. I've got one more bullet point. These are 3 separate action items for this question. And then I want to challenge you with this question.
Let's go.
And while I'm doing this, I want your brain to think about Kingmaker as you have seen it and
Right.
experienced it,
Mhm.
and Edgewatch as you have seen it and experienced it. Action item number 3. Offer a brief rationale for why this focus would enrich your experience. So we're talking about things that have occurred. I want to dial this thing up. Why would it enrich your purpose? This specific concrete example. Considering the table's collective engagement, as we know it to be at this point, individual character arcs, as we know them to be at this point, and any unfolding evolution of our shared world. Okay? So I'm going to read this again here. If our goal is to refine and elevate the campaign's second act, deepening its meaning, highlighting its drama, and ensuring it remains a story we're all excited to tell together, do you have a Dragrid example of something that, if Dragrid were still here and we were going on to another 3 chapters,
Right.
levels 12 through 20?
Hey, motherfucker, I had another character in that game too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it wasn't
Either one of them,
yeah,
really.
yeah.
Can you think of one example either one of those characters did that you would want to like lean on, either yourself or have me do for you to react to? What would be like turning that dial up for either of those characters?
I really loved the tense, confrontational moments Dragrid had with his mother. And
Okay.
I would say
With
that
his aunt?
with his aunt, sorry,
Yeah.
with his aunt. I would want to
Mom's a nasty piece of work.
yeah, so with my new character, Tenebris,
Mm-hmm.
I would want to take that same idea of like my partner and I have been rewatching the X-Files again.
Oh,
It's one of our favorite shows of all time.
I didn't know that.
I
That's amazing.
literally grew up watching it with my mom.
Wow, really?
Yeah, my mom and I would watch as a child. I would watch the X-Files.
Dude, that's crazy because I was a kid when it was on. That was almost like me watching Adam 12 with my mom.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were probably reruns because my mom had fallen in love with them.
Sure,
but,
absolutely.
Um,
Amazing show.
yeah. So one of my favorite tensions in that
Mhm.
is Scully and Mulder coming into tension with their superiors.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what that auntie
Okay.
relationship felt like. So I could imagine Tenebris, like moments where the brass is being like, "Hey Tenebris, remember that massacre that happened on your watch
Mhm.
way back in, Osirian? Yeah, the reason we brought you back here is so that doesn't happen again. So what the fuck?" You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
these moments of like butting up against the brass, your leaders,
Mhm.
and trying to push the edge and prove to them that you can actually be good. Those specific role play moments I really loved.
See, that's cool because right here in our session 0.5 that we're having right now for
Mhm.
Edgewatch, I just learned that something that I threw your direction, not knowing how you would feel about it.
Yeah.
You want me to double down on it, and I wouldn't have known unless we had this conversation. So I might have just thrown a bunch more dungeons at you.
Yeah.
Things completely unrelated to this one piece of tension you wanted me to double down on. That's the value of a session 0.5. So that's my first question. Anything else, or do we want to move on
let's
to
keep
yours?
rolling. Let's keep rolling. Yeah.
What do you got?
So my main question is, are all players feeling equally engaged and spotlighted in the narrative? Does anyone feel their character matters to the unfolding story or their opportunities to adjust focus?
Motherfucker, I've been on this soapbox since
I know.
episode 1 of GSR.
So I picked this because Eric constantly doesn't feel that I include him enough
Nobody understands me.
in Kingmaker.
I'm a snowflake, unique
Yeah.
and sad.
And like sometimes I'm frustrated because I clearly put a moment for Eric's character there, and you just fucking don't even notice it.
I'm oblivious sometimes.
And then
often.
other times you do notice it, and you're just like, that was cool, Robert. And I'm like,
oh,
fuck,
I'm sorry.
I was expecting a dick sucking, and I got a pat on the head. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think this is like, I think this is like important because, like, for instance, my partner is playing, she's playing like a drow rogue who ran away from her family.
I did not know that.
Well, yeah, no one does because she doesn't really want to engage.
Sure.
She, she's kind of what I describe as like a voyeur player, where she likes to sit at the table. She likes to watch the thing unfold. She likes to roll some dice. It's almost like a TV experience for her, where she's watching things happen to her and she's having a good time. That's
passive participation.
Yeah,
totally legit. If that's your jam,
absolutely, 100%. She has a fucking blast.
Yeah, good, because it's hard to tell sometimes.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. That's the story of our whole relationship.
To have a good time.
So, and then there are players on the opposite spectrum, like you, who want the story to be written for them. Because if the story's not written for you, why bother playing TTRPGs to begin with?
That does sound awfully extreme. I'm not a Nazi on that respect.
No.
I think every player has a certain percentage of the story they would like to be feel resonates with their character. I don't need 100%.
I would disagree.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
I think some players like myself, a lot of times we go into adventure paths specifically to experience. We want to experience the adventure path.
Okay.
We want to experience what the writer designed to have happen to them, not how their character is important in the story. Like,
God, that is such an alien concept to me.
I know.
I hear you.
Yeah,
I do.
Some people enjoy that. And some people want to kind of like experience a movie by playing through it. And the difference between playing a video game and playing this is you get to have fun with your friends while doing it.
Yeah.
Even though it feels very similar to a video game kind of experience.
Yeah.
So
see, this is cool because this is exactly the sort of thing that should come up in a session 0. And as a GM, I need to be reminded of this in a session 0.5 because I probably forgot along the way.
Exactly. So like, if I were to have a session 0.5 with you, you would probably tell me you want your stuff. I mean, you've told me multiple times in the podcast and out of the podcast, hey, Robert, I want these specific story beats to show up in my game in Kingmaker. And I'm like, bet. But I have the freedom to do what I want with them, right? And you're like, absolutely. All right, cool.
Yeah, I've got 10 things about my character. Pick 3. Put them somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as far as like focusing on all players feeling equally engaged and spotlighted in the narrative, for me, the key word here is the spotlighted.
Sure.
I want to make sure that each person kind of has a moment. Oftentimes, I find that players who talk the most at the table, not like, yapping with their friends, but like engaging with the game, they often need less focus being spotlighted because they just take the spotlight and point it on themselves.
Okay.
Like a good example is Jacques. I very rarely am worried about Jacques wanting more spotlight time of the game because he's such an important part of, he's playing the bard. He's playing the talking face of the party.
Sure.
But a good example of him wanting this exact treatment is the werewolf thing. I felt really bad because I didn't have a good moment to spring the werewolf thing on anyone. And what happened in the moment is I was so engrossed and wrapped up with running this boss battle and making sure everything went well.
It was a big battle.
There were 2 big battles back to back, kind of literally on top of each other. I had almost forgot because I had pre-prepped the whole dungeon and I was just on autopilot running the dungeon. I'd almost forgot about Jacques' archetype. And he like literally gave me a wink and a nod and was like, Robert, should we spring it on them? And I'm like, this is the perfect moment. Let's do it. So that was literally him in the moment telling me, hey, I need more spotlight for this ability or an idea.
Yep. Yeah, Jacques is also that wonderful player that he doesn't talk a lot at the table, but when he wants to, he will.
Yeah.
It's not like he's looking for permission. He'll speak up when he needs to.
Yeah, legit.
A lot of other players are looking for permission to
Jacques
speak.
is probably one of the best players you could ever have at a table.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
And that's probably because he's been a DM so much.
That and he
just an incredible person.
He understands human behavior and nature, and he's perceptive.
Exactly.
But there are a lot of players at a lot of tables out here in our hobby, because we attract a certain population, where a lot of people aren't quite sure if they're allowed to ask for the spotlight.
Yes.
Like, am I being greedy? Am I being selfish? Am I being stupid? Maybe I should just be quiet and wait until, I'm spoken to. I've seen a lot of that personally over the years. I've experienced that myself over the years.
100%.
So it's, this is session 0, session 0.5 stuff. Are we still okay with the behaviors at the table? Are we still, does somebody want more spotlight, less spotlight? Do we want to dial it up or down for the individual players in the GM?
And like these questionnaires are important to talk about at the table and have this question at the table. But I think in the specific case of those people, everyone should get this like DM to them as well as talked about at the table. Or maybe you DM these questions to them before you get to the session, they respond, and then you go to the table and talk about it. That way, if they let's say they don't feel comfortable talking about, or maybe like they're embarrassed by like professing how much more they feel like they need to be in the spotlight in a group of people, because like being face to face completely changes social dynamics.
It does
in a lot of ways that a lot of people are uncomfortable with. And that means asking these in private and in public are like both really important.
Yeah. And having the public conversation first will give people the information they need. They can chew on it, and then they can shoot you a DM later and be like, I wasn't comfortable sharing this at the table, but this is my concern, or this is my wish, or this is my desire.
Absolutely.
This is me participating because I can do it one-on-one, where I didn't feel comfortable doing it 1-on-4.
Right.
So I like everything you just said about that.
Yeah.
Did we leave anything out about your particular question, or do you feel like you've circled that?
I think that's I described the spectrum that I really wanted to get at. The last person in our Kingmaker game is Austin, and I don't really have a beat on Austin yet, just because he's like a Warhammer buddy of mine, and he doesn't feel super. He's like me. He doesn't feel super comfortable. That's not true. I feel really comfortable role playing. He doesn't feel super comfortable role playing yet.
Yeah, is that true? Austin, is that true?
Austin, if you're watching, fucking comment, motherfucker. You better be subscribed. But yeah, so like I don't think he feels super comfortable, especially like talking in first person yet. Not even with a voice, but with like any kind of acting.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that Delta Green will bring that out of him. Yeah, motherfucker.
I have no idea what we're walking into, and I can't wait to.
I'm stoked.
Get my brain exploded by it.
So I don't really know. This is actually, out of all the players at the table, he is the one I really need to ask him the most of, because I know the little about. I know the least about.
Yeah, he's brand damn new to us and our dynamics.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, fuck, we've been all playing together for what, 8 years now, and I've been playing D&D with him for the past fucking
20 minutes,
22 months. You know what I mean? 3 months maybe. So, yep, that's my question. You want to jump on to your next?
I do.
What unexpected elements have emerged that we'd like to lean into or away from?
So if the first question was about what has transpired, we want to dial up or down. This one is the other face of that coin. What was unexpected that we didn't talk about in session 0? And it just kind of happened. I mean, did the GM sell a crime thriller noir story, and now we're doing rom-coms in our flashbacks to the high school years of our characters, and that's eaten up a lot of screen time? That tonal shift can be jarring. It can almost feel like a bait and switch if it goes on long enough and in extreme directions. So if our goal is to refine and elevate the campaign's second act, deepening its meaning, highlighting its drama, and ensuring it remains a story we all want to... This is the exact same question I asked before, but just on the flip side. This is the unexpected shit. What I want players to do, what I would like to do in these session 0.5, is to identify specific unexpected elements that have taken root in the campaign. First 3 books of Edgewatch, the first 5 levels of Kingmaker. What happened that wasn't expected? Whether it's NPCs, subplots, relationships, player choices, or emergent themes that just weren't a part of the original theme, the original vision.
Dude, kids at home, take your vitamins. If you go rock climbing as an old man like me, fucking take some fish oil or something. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I'm crunchy. Keep going.
Okay. So that's discrete item number 1. Number 2, Provide a brief rationale for each of these examples and choices. Consider how it supports player engagement, character development, world coherence, and thematic resonance. Unexpected shit that happened that we now have to address because we're here having this 0.5 conversation. And finally, where are you? For each of these elements, propose whether we should nurture, expand or deepen, prune, minimize, or just eradicate, or redirect, reframe, or pivot towards a new purpose. So this unexpected shit. Was there anything in Edgewatch or Kingmaker that was not a part of the original vision in Session 0 that occurred to Dragrid, to Tenebrous, to Adis, to anybody in either of these campaigns? It just sort of showed up, and it wasn't a part of the original plan. And we decided we wanted to either nurture it or prune it.
I think
or redirect it.
I think a lot of the for me, a lot of the flashbacking, specifically to
Probably all of it.
Like the childhoods of like 3 of the characters who grew up there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, it's not my shit. Like, what had nothing to do with my character.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, it was a lot. There was a lot of flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought they were really cool to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But they did confuse me a little.
Okay.
The other thing, like the first part of this idea is a tonal shift.
Mm-hmm.
And what I noticed was we wanted to go super noir-y the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it stayed pretty noir-y. But as a TTRPG group in general, the longer you play, the more Animaniacs shit gets.
The more goofy shit gets.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I think most games, I'm going to just make a generalization here. Most
Mm-hmm.
games will shift towards that Animaniacs style,
Mm-hmm.
largely because of the system. I feel like that's the natural declination
Mm-hmm.
of Pathfinder 2nd Edition, is the heroic and fantasy gonzo kind of adventuring.
Okay.
So if you ever want to do something that's tonally completely in a different direction, as you play, unless you give it intentional focus,
yep,
it will
the magic of restraint, ladies and gentlemen,
shift back there. And there were moments where I felt we had gone, and this is coming from someone who does not really enjoy noirs.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, all right, guys, this is getting a little silly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is.
Do you have a specific example?
We're getting a little wild here. When
the halfling birthday party?
The halfling birthday party was fucking hilarious, actually. But to me, those are like those slice of life moments. You have to have a little sugar with your tart.
Right.
But for me, it was like when the precinct got attacked by a mind-altering, dimension-hopping like wolf thing.
Yeah.
And it was clearly Eric trying to tie my archetype into the story,
mm-hmm.
but it didn't.
That was fucking hard too. Let me tell you.
Yeah. To be fair, I did not make it easy for Eric. Eric's like, "What do you?"
You
want
and
to play?
Nick, man, you guys threw me like high fantasy Messiah stories and like Lovecraftian non-Euclidean geometry shit.
Yeah. What do you want to play? Oh, nothing, just like a time mage. That would be really cool.
That's it. Nothing high
No
maintenance.
big deal. Just a time mage.
Low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. Look, you can do it. I believe in you, Eric. So for me, when that happened,
mm-hmm.
it was me reckoning. Now that I'm like kind of like realizing it as I say it, it was kind of me reckoning with the fact that what I had picked was so tonally different.
Yes.
Than what you had imagined for the game originally.
Mm-hmm.
I just assumed, like, honestly, I did not assume my archetype would take that big of a I thought I was just going to be the weird wizard who could do timey-wimey shenanigans, and everyone kind of just like, it's fucking Draker's weird. I never expected the archetype to come in so much into the story, and when it did, I was like, well, this is out of touch with the rest
You've been out of the campaign for so long, that shit is still going. Like this very last session we just did, we were all like crammed into a room in the Norgorber Temple. It was like, can of sardines, and all the people were there, shoulder to shoulder. And somewhere in all that madness, there was a split in the fabric of reality, and then it kind of pulled to the side. And Nick's character, the kobold, was pulled through it. So the Dragrid thing with stepping out into stepping outside of time, essentially, and everybody is moving really slow out in the room while you're having a regularly paced conversation. That happened last week. So Dragrid stuff with the timey-wimey bullshit, that's still pushing forward in the campaign because I need that continuity. If it shows up once, I can't just leave it alone and never have it be relevant again.
Yeah, you could.
But tonally, you're
like,
right.
You could. Like, you're a great writer.
I chose not to because it was such an outside, overt bit of character building that it got introduced fairly up front in the whole thing.
True, that's
and then
true.
that creature encounter you just referenced.
Yeah.
The creature outside of time and space.
But I feel like if Dregrid died and you just never brought it up again, no player would ever care.
That is true, but I would know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, the I'm not going to make that example.
Okay.
But
okay.
There are some people who are like, okay, they might not know it, but I know it's there.
Right. So you're doing it for yourself almost more than the players.
I'm doing it for the integrity of the actual combined experience so that hopefully when we get to the end and we're done, and we're all like doing cigars and whiskey somewhere and talking about, wow, let's talk about that. What happened? And then we can be like, motherfucker, that's what happened. This is what that meant. This is where that was going. I didn't see it at the time. Like some of the stuff you were talking about with Kingmaker that I was just too oblivious to fucking notice.
I need to play Edgewatch again.
So,
fuck.
It's there for you. It's there for you, my brother.
I know.
So yeah, that tonal shift, what wasn't there, and it is now. Do we want it? Do we want to prune it? Do we want to, dial it up? These are, important questions. Was that your question or mine?
That was yours.
That was mine. So to summarize, what, God damn it, was it what occurred or didn't occur that we were talking about?
I remember my first beer,
Unexpected elements.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, right. All right, guys, I'm catching up.
Unexpected elements have emerged and
taken
that
root.
we'd like to.
And do we want to rip that out by the roots, or do we want to be like, ooh, this is a volunteer plant, let's grow it?
Exactly.
That's basically it. Halfway through the campaign, let's do a check-in. See if we want to keep this shit or just get it out of here and, clean the garden plot for a new bunch of planning going forward. You are up, my dude. 3 of 5.
Okay, so this one hits really close to home because of Kingmaker's kingdom building system. Have any rules, mechanics, or subsystems become a friction point?
I'm going to stroke right here on the fucking table.
Is there mechanical fatigue, confusion, or opportunity for simplification or house ruling? Yeah, there's space for us to jettison this entire system from the game, irreversibly changing its trajectory. Like,
I would love to see a table where they actually implement it the way it was intended to and watch it shine. I'm not good enough to do it, and I haven't seen it yet.
I think fundamentally, I would have enjoyed the kingdom building subsystem. Robert, as a player.
Sure. Yeah, you would have eaten that shit up.
If I had 3 other Factorio-loving motherfuckers at the table with me.
Yep.
Like, that subsystem is so written for one kind of person, it's laughable.
Session 0, question number 1. Are you a Factorio-loving motherfucker?
For real. Because
yes
if not,
or no?
We're going to hand wave a bunch. Like, I don't have the book on me, but it's literally like 100 pages of rules. It's
a chunky
nuts.
boy.
I think it's actually like literally 80 pages.
Which isn't to say it sucks, because that amount of content that was run through this company that's been doing amazing for 2 decades, it's quality stuff. It was just unwieldy as fuck for our group. And for me, personally, as a player.
I don't know about quality. I don't know. I'm willing to throw a little shade at whoever designed this piece.
I can't swing in that fight because I don't understand how it was intended to be used elegantly in a 4-hour session. I just don't. I just don't see it. As a video game, absolutely. I play it at home.
Automated
there at the table.
Automated, it would be pretty rad.
Have any of you guys used the kingdom building for Pathfinder 2nd Edition? If so, I want to know how you did it in a way that didn't make people's eyes glaze over.
Yeah, a couple people in the Discord who have Kingmaker for VTTs
Mhm.
have said that it's usable
Mhm.
when the
Not exactly high praise. If you
yeah.
automate it all and it's still just
just
usable
yeah.
status.
It's usable, and then someone did a hack of it where they redesigned it and made it much simpler, and actually made the biggest problem with it is the progression's too slow.
Mhm.
They basically sped up the progression. When you do that, it makes a lot more sense.
Okay.
And it actually is a lot more fun. So getting back to our original question though, I just don't want to be shitting on fucking like Kingmakers.
I'm sorry, I'm stuck on it's usable.
I know.
I'm celebrating my 15-year anniversary this weekend.
Oh, congratulations.
And all I can think of is 15 years. Wow, that's amazing. How's your relationship? It's usable.
Oh my God.
I mean, a lot clearly went into it.
Yeah.
And it's usable.
That's for you
and
God
baby.
to figure out. Yeah.
Way better than that, but
so getting back to this, Lo, like, are you in an underwater campaign and the underwater rules bogging you down?
Mm-hmm.
That's another great example of like, let's hand wave a feat that makes all of this nonsense go away, because we all enjoy sitting at the table and playing with each other.
Sure.
I think most of us have all played at a game where there was a subsystem or thing that needs to be redesigned or jettisoned.
Yeah.
Because it's just sucking the fun out of it. Do you have any examples of that?
God damn it. Anytime you introduce a Z-axis into TTRPGs, you're fucking it. You mentioned underwater.
Yeah.
I imagine I'm going to run into the exact same thing when Starfinder 2nd Edition comes out and we start talking about gravity combat. That's another one. Kingdom Building, we already touched on that. There's a number of subsystems that we have tried to implement to various degrees of success. I did an Ocean's 11 style heist using a subsystem that was a combination of infiltration and something else. I forget what it was. But the idea was you have awareness points and you have infiltration points. And if your awareness points ever get higher than your infiltration points, you know, the people, the security and other folks in the casino start noticing you, and you're trying to blend in. So keep your awareness points down and get your infiltration points up. It ended up being kind of like super gamey and like just, you know, increments of 1, lose 1, gain 2, lose 2, gain 1. And it just sort of, it diluted the drama, the cinematic quality of the experience. At least that's what the players expressed. Right. And I agree, because I felt it too. I was like, why am I putting my table through this? This just feels grueling.
I would say, like, there are groups of tables who would have eaten up a subsystem that allowed them to gamify this role play kind of interaction. Like, all right, what does this get us? You know, this is worth, look, we have these 4 ideas that we want to do. These 2 are worth 2 infiltration points, but there's a risk of getting some find out points. And then these 2 have a lower upside, but have almost no downside. And we can only do 3 of them. Which ones do we want to do? You know, like just talking about that from a game perspective, and then doing them, and then seeing what the ramifications of those are in a. So like this kind of like what the kind of person who enjoys this would enjoy this. I feel like I'm describing like Amy, or I'm describing myself. People who like to experience the story of the game as it was written, rather than their own experience in a story, like their own I am the protagonist kind of moment where they can drive the story.
Yeah, this is first person versus third person.
Yeah, so I can I can totally see the third person enjoyers. We stan our third person enjoyers. Really digging into subsystems like this that monetize roleplay. Sure. Whereas the conjugate is also true. It drags down and holds back people who are already really well versed.
Yeah. You know, YouTube is so full of videos on how to do the XYZ thing. Yeah. I can't help but wonder if there's some sort of opportunity for a type of conversation that says, these are the discrete subsystems. The point here isn't to teach you how to use it. The point is to find strategies to make them go down easier.
For the people who don't
For different kinds of players.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, your what was your magic example you keep going back to? The Chads, the Bonnies, the Clydes. There's different types of players have different names.
Yeah, so there's Johnny's, Spikes, and Timmy's.
Yeah. So like
Timmy, Johnny,
that, but for the types of people who absorb subsystems in different ways.
Yeah, I could see us doing a video on that.
So just sort of like not how a thing works, but you've got 4 players at your table, and odds are pretty good. You got 2 or 3 different personality types. Here's some strategies for having the infiltration subsystem be palatable for these types of player types. Here's the chase system. If you present it one way, it's going to bore the shit out of player A. It's going to excite player C, and player B is somewhere in the middle. There's different ways to use these things. So in my example of the casino heist and having the awareness points and the infiltration points, I didn't present it in a way that was palatable. And I'm not going to say it was a shitty subsystem because it really wasn't. It was fun and interesting and quirky. I just didn't present it. I didn't direct that movie well, is what it came down to. It had nothing to do with the script. It was the director's decisions that fucked it up. So I'm just curious about, like, is there a space for a conversation about strategies to make things palatable to a cross-section of player types?
So a good example of this is in Bloodlords, the game I'm playing on Sundays with some of our patrons. There's an influence system in Bloodlords where there's like these 5 different factions in Geb. They're all like guilds, basically. And each player can pick one of the backgrounds from the game setting, from the player's guide, and decide to, by picking this background, you get 1 influence point with that subfaction.
Nice. I like that.
And so you basically start off on the right foot and with that faction, or you have 1 step towards starting on the right foot with them. And then as you go along, you have these opportunities to gain and lose influence. Something that happened just like literally like last night or the other night ago was we were brought in after finishing book 1. By the way, we're already done with book 1.
I noticed that. You guys are level what now?
We're level 4. We just hit level 4, yeah. I know. Be jealous. Be jealous.
We're still level 1 in Rune Lords. Just saying.
Motherfucker, you're playing a play-by-post. You'll hit level 4.
We're playing some weeks.
At the end of your life. Are you kidding me? What play-by-post goes fast?
I'm enjoying it so much. Yeah. We I think we're finally about to leave Sandpoint.
Nice.
Yeah.
But so anyway, we had this. We finished the BBG fight. We went to go deliver our evidence, and then the next day we get called in to a big conference to kind of talk about what we found with the Lord Governor or whatever.
Right.
And in the middle of it is an influence fight.
This sounds like Vampire the Masquerade going on here.
The thing is, it's like we go into this meeting, and there's this bank that this abandoned bank that had it was a dungeon that we delved into and found some loot in and then came back, that kind of thing.
Sure.
And then seemingly randomly, there was just a guy at this meeting who was just like, so that's all well and good. Can we talk about how the accounting guild wants to take control of the bank from the builders guild, and we, now being kind of important people because we just like solved this really big problem, had the opportunity to weigh in and be like, do we want to support the accounting guild or the builders guild?
That sounds awesome.
Sorry, the tax collectors guild. And it was never presented to us beforehand as being an influence subsystem moment. Right. It was just these people from this faction are talking about this thing. They want a thing.
Well done, Kyle.
And the Builders Guild wasn't there to defend themselves. There's no one. There's no representative there at this meeting. And we basically offered up a solution for both. So instead of losing reputation with one and gaining reputation with the other, we just gained a little bit with both.
Sure.
And I was like,
I want that in Edgewatch.
I was like, that was kind of cool. The thing is, Eric, like, this is a subsystem that has, like, the way it's been presented so far is I never even tracked, because it's, a VTT, it's tracked automatically.
Sure. Yeah.
I was never even tracking our influence with these people until this moment happened. And then after it, I got points for it.
Yeah.
Once I got points for it, that's when I'm like, this subsystem,
God damn it,
might actually
that's
be.
When your algorithm brain kicked in.
Exactly.
Hey, Kyle, hit me up. If this is a subsystem that's in Bloodlords, I want to know it because I'm stealing that for Edgewatch.
Yeah, and so, like, to me, as a like, the way I would pitch these kinds of subsystems, these
Mm-hmm.
role play subsystems for this. Okay, let me rephrase. The safest way to pitch these for all tables, in my experience, is do the role play.
Yeah.
And then afterwards be like, oh, and by the way, you got 6 points for these guys and -3 points for these guys. And they're like, what?
It's how you get your fucking baby to eat their vegetables.
Yeah.
You go choo, 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 choo,
Yeah.
choo, choo.
But what's important is like some players will immediately recognize that this is a reputation battle. Other players will not realize what's going on. And then at the end be like, oh, we got points.
Yeah.
So it's important to whisper on the side to tell the players who are happy to get points.
Sure.
This is about points.
Yeah.
And to not say anything to the other players who kind of don't fucking care.
Right.
You know what I mean?
See, I've been
Don't
in a
bog
number
them
of
down.
situations where like trying something like that as a GM created a feel bad experience because people were like, I didn't know I was supposed to be earning points. I would have done the entire 3 past scenes completely differently if I'd have known.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you tell without wrecking the moment that you're trying to like hide and spring on people? And the answer is session 0, session 0.5.
Exactly.
You know, hey, these are some of the things I would like to try to do. Are you cats cool with it?
Yeah. Or we've been technically using this influence subsystem. You guys told me not to tell you the numbers. How's that going for you?
Yeah. Right.
Would you like to know the numbers?
Because I do now.
You know what I mean? Like, and maybe they do want to know the numbers now.
Sure.
They're like, okay, well, maybe we keep the subsystem, but you tell us the numbers only when they change and you don't tell us the total.
Sure.
Or maybe you tell us the total and when the numbers change.
Right.
And we can check in on the total whenever we want.
Yeah. And like if every encounter is a severe encounter, people might want to know the numbers. If every encounter is a trivial encounter, it doesn't fucking matter.
Right. Yeah.
So there's that as well.
Absolutely.
YMMV.
YMMV, what?
Your mileage may vary.
Your mileage may vary. All right, Eric, we're on to the last one.
Are we?
Number 5.
Is this the one we both chose together?
Are we going to read it at the same time?
Which one is it?
Is
it the brown or the purple one?
Numero Trace.
Numero Trace. That is the brown and the purple one. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
How are we feeling about the campaign's balance between combat, exploration, and roleplay?
High 10.
Oh, yeah, dude. We did that well.
All right.
Editing, that's going to be a fucking nightmare.
We deserve it.
Yes.
How are we feeling about the campaign's balance between
We don't
combat,
edit this podcast.
exploration, roleplay?
I do, motherfucker.
I was using the non-royal we, the plebeian we. I was using the plebeian we. That means you, jackass.
Enjoy that,
right.
Robert.
So combat, exploration, roleplay, those are the 3 pillars of every session,
Right.
in my humble opinion. And
Right.
we all know how humble I can get. So how are we feeling about that? Talk to me, Robert. What does this question mean for you?
So,
As a player and as a GM, in case that's
as a
different.
guy who almost always wants more combat,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to describe what kind of combat I want more of. Because I've been playing with the same group of people for so long. I'm beginning to realize that 5e has rotted our brains. I'm beginning to stand
TV and 5e.
Yes, I'm beginning to stand the normal, non-severe encounter. I'm
Yes.
beginning to stand the trivial encounter because I realize that Robert doesn't need really heavy technical combats all the time. He just wants to punch things. I just want combat, but I want volume. I don't want quality. So, my point here is like, there's another layer of this, which is, do you want more exploration, downtime, or combat? But also, what kinds of downtime do you want?
The quality of it.
Kinds of, what the qualities of it, you know, not a binary scale of like 0 to 10 of like quality, but like, do you want downtime activities that you have a roleplay scene in? Do you want downtime activities that are just rolling dice and math and you get more gold and you kind of like your magic business does dollars and you get stuff and you upgrade it? Do you want that like side quest? Or do you want a cool role play moment? Or do you want both together? Do you want to do your side quest and then have a role play moment, and the outcome of that role play moment decides whether or not you got even more money or something?
Sure. It's a pie with 3 parts. Every combat is a pie with 3 parts. Every downtime is a pie with 3 parts. Every dungeon is a pie with 3 parts. And then which one is bigger than the other, given the specific example you're addressing there.
Yeah.
Within these 3 pillars.
So like for exploration mode, it's really, exploration is so large and nebulous at the same time.
Yeah.
It's kind of all encompassing.
There's so much opportunity for that we just haven't delved into.
Yeah. Like 60, 70% of an entire game is arguably in exploration mode, and like 10% is in downtime, because downtime rarely happens.
Right.
Frankly, I think
especially in Edgewatch.
Well, that's the thing. I actually think that's a bad thing.
I think it can be, yeah.
Yeah, I think downtime, like in Pathfinder the game, not in your narrative role playing, but in Pathfinder the game, I'm beginning to realize that the game is actually really designed around having ample amounts of downtime. And these are designers' notes. How so?
Yeah.
A bunch of abilities key off of it, and a bunch of power building mechanics for power building are built into downtime that don't happen in most of our games. Because we never have it.
I would love to see some examples. Maybe you can bring them to the Discord.
Yeah, like one that I can think of off the top of my head is the shopping experience, where you go to upgrade your items and stuff takes time, and individual characters can go make money, like working their regular jobs. That's been happening in Bloodlords, where we're like, all right, we're doing 5 days of downtime, and I'm like, all right, cool. Toku's going to create a shrine to his pantheon gods, because Toku has become a champion of the Dark Tapestry, not the Dark Tapestry, the Dark Ones. They're basically, it's like a pantheon of like 5 evil gods. And that downtime moment was an opportunity for him to like make money, but also create a cool thing in a space that we have in our own house or whatever. And it's like permanently changed the space. And that's a downtime activity. Do I want more of those moments to happen? Absolutely. 100%. They're a lot of fun.
Okay.
So those are the kinds of things I'm asking.
Yeah.
This question is couched in, do you want more of these 3 categories? And what are some examples of moments that you've enjoyed in that category you want to see more
discreet.
Get discreet.
Because we don't always hear words the same way with the same weight.
Yes. We rarely ever do, I found in life. We have rarely ever do.
You and I are, our relationship is a constant evolution of understanding of that.
Of learning how to communicate with each other? Yes, absolutely.
Oh, you meant this word that way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Porter.
I don't disagree with anything you said, so I'm probably going to repeat a lot of what you said here. I'm just going to look at my notes. So as we reflect on the journey so far, let's assess the campaign's balance between the 3 core pillars: combat, exploration, and roleplay. 3 discrete things to do here in our session point. 1, ask all your players and the GM, how satisfied are you with the current mix of combat, exploration, and roleplay? Has one of those 3 pillars become dominant or maybe underrepresented in ways that either excite or frustrate you? For instance, I know that I probably way overemphasize the role-playing in Edgewatch to the expense of downtime, at the expense of...
combat? No, you don't actually.
I have entire sessions that are nothing but combat.
Yeah,
but again, that's another imbalance. So there's that whole like, it's all in Kool-Aid man hole, sized hole through the wall.
Eric, there are sessions of our Bloodlords game where we have multiple combats. Like, we've had 4 combats in one 3-hour session before and done some role play.
Yeah, Pixar didn't happen. So 3 pillars: combat, exploration.
Eric is calling
roleplay.
cap, ladies and gentlemen.
I love combat.
Yeah.
I do. But if that's all we do and it just presents as the same with every iteration, I stop wanting combat and I start wanting something else. So all 5 of us around the table have different weights for that we apply to those 3 different things. So our next video is going to be about like the currency of attention span around the table. And one of the things, preview, that I'm going to be talking about is how much weight you apply to combat and how much I do. So where you can handle 3 combats in a session, I might be able to handle 1.5, maybe 2. Where I can handle 3 heavy RP moments in a session, you might be able to handle 1.5, maybe 2. So like, where are we all 5 of us around the table, and how much we can absorb of these 3 different pillars throughout a single session, throughout a chapter within a Book of Kingmaker, throughout an entire campaign of 18 levels, so on and so forth. For each action item, suggest a specific adjustment you would like to see. For example, I want to see more strategic combat encounters, or I want to see richer opportunities for world exploration, or I want to see deeper scenes of interpersonal roleplay. 3 pillars: roleplay, combat, and whatever the fuck the other one was.
Downtime.
Downtime, thank you.
See how important it is to Eric, ladies and gentlemen?
Item number
Goblins
3.
at home.
And again, this is all about learning how to use your words, ladies and gentlemen. With
Goblins and ghouls.
Goblins and ghouls. Ghouls and goblins. Provide a brief rationale for each of these examples you have so that people can hear you and understand you. Consider how it would enhance player investment, group dynamics, and the overall pacing and emotional rhythm of the story. I'm playing a bard. I want to see more interesting dynamic combat because this player over here is playing a highly tactile fighter, or fucking, what's that useless class? The swashbuckler with the panache?
No, I think you mean the investigator.
I want to see that person have more combat so I can see their, I don't want more combat for me and my character. I want it for that person because that's a part of the story I want to see elevated. So use your words. Realize there are 3 pillars for this entire experience, which is different from the 3 pillars that Robert talked about in the short pod. That was a very mechanical centric thing. And then sort of just express how much of each we want to do around the table. Talk about it in session 0 so we can say, this is what I want to do. And then check back in and say, are we still doing the things we said we wanted to do? Mr. GM, Ms. GM, are you delivering on the things that we said we wanted you to deliver on? Are we still in the same place? Do we want to do more, less? Where do we want these weights? I think this is the question you and I agreed on for these 10, because it's kind of, I feel it's the most important one.
Yeah. If you get any
because
of
it applies
these
to
right,
everybody, not just me.
If you get any of these right, it's this one.
Pick this one. Yeah.
This is kind of the base.
Otherwise, people will leave the fucking table, which has happened in both of our games.
That's true. This is the base with which all others kind of flow.
Yeah. This is longevity here. So when you're married for 15 years and you want a relationship that doesn't just work, what was it you said? It was like 10 minutes ago. What was it you said?
What did I say?
It just functions.
Oh,
it just works.
It's functional.
It's functional.
Yeah.
If you want that, you're at the midpoint of your campaign and you want something better than is functional.
It's definitely functional.
These conversations are important. You got to know your character, your players' love languages.
There you go. Yeah. Describing players in their love languages at the table. That's a topic for another episode.
Speak to them where they live.
Exactly.
That is everything I have for that particular one.
Excellent. Well, perfect time to wrap up.
Is it?
I think that's it, man.
Okay.
The other 5 we're going to talk about in the Discord. And we'll also have a link to a handout. You can just literally just like copy paste, send to your players.
Yep.
That'll be in Discord and hopefully on our website. So check the doobly-doo for the links.
It's a work in progress.
We'll always comment, like, and subscribe to the video because we have to on YouTube.
Ring that bell with your head
to grow.
Or your balls.
Yes. Ring
or
the
your
bell.
breasts. Ring it with something.
Ring it. Ring that bell.
Ding-a-ling that bell.
As always, most importantly.
Are we keeping it weird yet?
We're weird.
All right.